Hi guys, this is Alex at FightStorePro.com, and today I'm going to answer a question that I've been asked many times before, which is what boxing gloves should I use with a heavy bag? Now, I'm going to approach this in a different way to some of the things that I've done in the past, and also in a different way to the way that a lot of people run reviews or exposés like this on this type of subject. Simply because I believe the first thing that we should talk about is what we're actually trying to achieve. When you're using a boxing glove in the gym, generally speaking, we're using a sparring glove for sparring, a fight glove for fighting, and then perhaps we're hitting bags and pads. And this is three different purposes. And a lot of people nowadays are trying to use the same glove for everything. So I need to touch on that, but let's get to the core of the matter. When you're sparring, the primary purpose of your glove is to protect the other person, the person that you're striking. When you're hitting bags or pads, the primary purpose of the glove is to protect you and you alone. You're not there, you're not trying to stop yourself harming the bag or the pads. You're trying to stop yourself harming you. That is the reason you use a glove at all on a bag. So what are the properties that you want? Well, essentially, you don't want to cut your knuckles. You don't want to bend or damage the small bones in your wrists. And you want to be able to hit the bag with confidence without sending those shock waves down into the smaller bones across your arm, shock into your shoulder. That's what you're trying to avoid. So what is the best glove to use? Let's look at the properties of those gloves. So I'm going to talk first of all about something that's not even a glove, it's a hand wrap. And whether you choose to use a standard 4.5 meter cloth wrap like this one, or one with a gel pad, then with the wrap coming away from the gel pad, is up to you. Obviously, if you are using hand wraps, you build up a knuckle pad. We've done plenty of videos on how to wrap your hands. But when you're trying to protect your knuckles, you need to build a knuckle pad across your knuckles. Now, most people know this who've been doing this for any amount of time, but if you're new to the sport, go and check out some videos on how to wrap your hands. Make sure you're building up a decent knuckle pad. If you've got wrists that need to be secured, which most people do, then wrap your wrist back and wrap it tight around the joints. You get at least half of your protection when hitting a bag or pads with your wrap, not with the glove, and this is a very key point. Now, gloves come in multiple sizes, and the question was which boxing glove should you use to hit a bag or a pad? Well, there is a category of gloves called bag gloves, and higher quality bag gloves are made specifically for hitting bags and pads, and quite often this will be a superior choice over using a sparring glove or a fight glove or something in the middle. Reason being, it's just solely for that purpose. However, the better ones are all kicking around 150 pounds plus. They have no other purpose. You can't use them for sparring. You can only use them for hitting a bag. So if all you do is hit a bag, perhaps that's the right choice for you. But if you're doing multiple different things in the gym, you're attending classes, etc., that's probably not a great choice. You probably do want a boxing glove. Therefore, what glove do you want? And what size glove do you want? For sparring, generally speaking, we're going to recommend either a 14, 16, or if you're a big guy, an 18-ounce glove for sparring. For bags and pads, generally speaking, you want the smallest glove your hands will tolerate. And I'm going to come to that statement again in a second. So I've got a 14-ounce Cleator Reyes glove here. I've got a 10-ounce Rev Gear glove here. I've got a whole host of them behind me. Let's have a look at some of the properties. So I'm going to start here with what I think is probably one of the most perfect choices you could make if most of what you're doing is bag and pad work, but you're doing maybe some technical drills and things like that as well, not doing a lot of out and out sparring. This glove here, the Rev Gear S5 All-Rounder, was developed specifically with this in mind, knowing that a lot of people only want one glove to do a whole raft of different activities in the gym. Now, the reason why this is such a good glove for this is because it sits in between a few different places. A lot of people would see this Cleto Reyes glove here as an out-and-out sparring glove. Now, I can show you that this is a 14-ounce glove. These are mine, and the padding on them is essentially non-existent at the bottom of the knuckles. I've always hated the thumb position, not keen on it at all, and without some substantial wrapping, you will damage your hands in these gloves. This is a 14-ounce glove. This one is a 12 and has, I'd say, a good inch more padding in the front than this one does. I would love to get I should have brought a tape measure for this, but hopefully you can see this, that there is actually more padding in this 12-ounce glove than there is in this 14. And something that a lot of people don't realize is gloves are weighed without the wrist strap being in mind. And we do get the odd customer complaint saying, hey, this glove weighs more than you said it did. Well, actually it wouldn't do if you cut the strap off. Gloves are weighed, their regulation weight is without the strap, because for competition, they don't have straps. They always use laces. So what's that got to do with hitting bags? Well, the point is that it depends on the amount of padding you want at the front of your knuckle. The weight of a glove, and this is really important, the weight of a glove is about, generally speaking, telling you how much padding it's got. Now, it's not always the case, as I've just shown you. And when you're exclusively hitting bags and pads, generally speaking, you want the smallest gloves you can get on your hands, because you want the contact point to be as small as possible, because you want the feedback from the bag or the pad, because you're aiming to get as close to something as possible. And if you're wearing a 16-ounce glove, let's say, like this one, you're going to have significantly more space. Look at that, probably 2 inches more between your hand and the thing that you're hitting. Now, when you're programming this into your neurological system, your nervous system, then you'll be 2 inches short all the time if you're trying to hit a person. Now, obviously you want to put your punches through the bag or through the pad, but it's still going to be a significant difference or distance. So generally speaking, if you're buying a boxing glove just for bags and pads, you want the smallest glove you can go with. Now, if you're wanting to maximize protection versus accuracy, then perhaps go with a 12-ounce, which is a kind of a middle of the road. If you think you're going to be doing some technical drills as well, then definitely a 12-ounce is a great shout. If you're going to be doing some sparring, but mainly doing bag, pad work and technical, perhaps go to 14-ounce. And now I'm going to come to a point here. So I've just mentioned the 16-ounce glove. I'm going to pick up a totally different glove here, which is a Thai boxing glove. Yeah, this is 16-ounce. A lot of the padding comes further back and up onto the thumb. Look at the difference. Again, look at the difference in the padding, where the padding is. Look at the profile of that glove, the two. Now, I know that's 12-ounce and that's the 16. I'll pull a better comparison out, but you can see just in the shape of the glove, it's very different. But if you're a Thai boxer, because Thai boxers hit bags too, then you possibly do want a Thai boxing glove, because that's what you're using all of the time. The truth of the matter is, like I said before, you're getting a lot of the protection from your wraps, not just from the glove. Because the purpose of the major amount of padding on these gloves is actually to remove the blow from the person that you're hitting, which of course a bag is not too worried about. So 16-ounce, 14-ounce is probably not a great shout as a bag glove. If you're doing everything, then I guess you've just got to make that decision. But largely, try and go for a smaller weight glove. I use 8-ounce gloves when hitting bags and pads, albeit I don't hit bags and pads very much nowadays, because after 30 years of hitting things, my elbows and wrists don't like it anymore. But that's, again, another good reason to make sure you wrap all the time. And I definitely didn't do that when I was much younger. So let's go with some what to avoid for choosing for bags and pads. Well, first of all, definitely avoid Cleater Reyes gloves, bags and pads. Now, Cleater Reyes are a great sparring glove. Don't get me wrong. They are an excellent sparring glove. They are made very, very well, and different people's hands, different people's functions will give you different opinions. But Cleater Reyes, in my opinion, are a very old school glove. The build quality, everything fantastic, but they've got a lot of pliability. They don't support your wrists very well. They're very, very wide. I don't like the thumb position, but the biggest thing is there's no frickin' padding in them. There's just no padding in them. This is a 14, this is a 12, this has got significantly more padding. And I'm gonna get to this one. This is a 10-ounce glove, and this was never released. I've got no way of selling you this glove, and I can't sell you this glove. This was never released, but look at the amount of padding. This is a 10, that's a 14, and the padding, it's just got loads and loads and loads more padding, yeah? And this is what you need. Small glove, plenty of padding when you're hitting the bag. Perfect. So opt for a 10 or a 12 maximum if you don't need them for sparring. That's my point. So laces versus Velcro comes down to two things. If you're gonna have to take them on and off, i.e. you're moving between different areas in a class, then you absolutely are gonna have to have Velcro. But laces are far superior when we're doing bag work. And the reason is because once you've got these on, these tighten up so close and so hard to your wrist, and I can't do this right now, not with one hand, not by myself, but you can tighten this right the way around like this and lock your wrist in. If you've got a good wrap on that as well, this will be the best thing that you can possibly do for hitting a bag. So if all you're doing is hitting bags, you're just gonna do a bag session, yeah, lace your hands up, and buy lace gloves, lace your hands up. You're gonna buy them in an 8 or a 10, lock them in, and even if you have to go and get the wife to tie the last one for you, then it's actually a superior system. So laces aren't just for fights, they do lock your wrist better. They're just completely impractical if you're doing a class and having to change your gloves all the time. So I hope this helped answer that question that comes up all of the time here at Fight Store Pro. And if you want more advice, or you want some individualized attention, individualized question asking, leave your comments in the box below and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. Check out the website, fightstorepro.com, and we'll see you next time.